In this investigation, we will explore the appearance of the graphs y is equal to sin x, y is equal to cos x, and y is equal to tan x, and identify the period, amplitude, and range of the shape of these graphs. Firstly, we will construct a grid from which we will design our three graphs. To do this, we must go to the translation arrow tool and make sure we are using the arrow. Then we will be going to the graph tab in the upper left corner and we will be selecting grid form. And here we will be selecting the rectangular grid. At this point, this will be our unit part 1, our unit part 2, and our unit part 3. Note that unit part 1 and 2 lies on the x-axis. We will now be selecting unit part 2 in order to highlight it, and we will be dragging that towards unit part 1 as we want to change the range from -500 to 500. Click on the unit part 2 and drag it closer until we reach our desired range. Now that we can see it goes from -500 to 500, we are satisfied. Then we will be changing the y-axis so that the range is from 4 to -4. We will be doing this by selecting unit part 3 and dragging it away from unit part 1. Drag slowly until you reach your desired range. From this screen, we will be able to start constructing our graphs. To construct our y equals sin x graph, we will be moving to the upper left corner and we will select a graph. We will select plot new function, and in this screen we will select functions, send into your x value and press OK. In this screen, which asks to switch your preferred angle units from degrees to radians, we select no. This should be the shape of your sin x graph. We will now capture this image by clicking on your keyboard the Windows button and the print screen button at the same time. Then we can move to our folders, and in the pictures folder there should be a screenshots folder, and in that screenshots folder you will find an image of the graph we just created. If you like, you can rename this graph your sin graph. Now we will be creating our cos x graph. Following the same steps as before, we will be moving to the upper left corner, selecting the graph tab, selecting plot new function. In this screen we will go to the drop down menu function and we will select cos, enter our x value and select OK. Then we will be using the Windows button and the print screen button at the same time in order to capture our image. Going once again to the screenshots folder, we see we have now captured our new graph as well, which we can rename our cos graph. Now, to construct our tan x graph. Once again, we move to the Graph tab, we select Plot New Function, we go to the Functions drop-down menu and we select tan, enter our x value, click OK, and we will see our tan graph as presented. Then once again, we click the Windows as well as the print screen button at the same time. We go to our screenshots folder and we see that we now have a new image of our tan graph, which we can rename our tan graph. We can now use these three graphs to help us in answering the questions provided in the investigation. Now, for the next part, we will be changing the x-axis scale to -9,000, 9,000. To do this, we will once again select Unit Part 2 and we will move it a bit closer. This might be a little bit tricky, but it should become clear when you have a range from -9,000 to 9,000. Now we will create these three graphs again, and from that we might answer question 3. Now, using our new x-axis scale from -9,000 to 9,000, we will be drawing our three graphs, namely sin, cos and tan, again using the Graph tab. We will plot a new function and we will go to the Functions drop-down menu, select sin, select x, click OK, and this should be the shape of your new sin graph. In order to save this image, click the Windows as well as the print screen button at the same time, and you can now find this image in your screenshots folder, in your pictures folder. And you can rename this for clarity, Sine Graph 2. Then, to clear your sine graph, you may go to Edit in the upper left corner and we undo our last action. Now we have our clean grid again, with which we can draw our cos graph. Going to the Graph tab in the upper left, we can plot a new function. In the Functions tab, we select cos, we select x, and we click OK. And this is the new shape of your cos graph. Then, again, we select the Windows button and the print screen button at the same time. We go to our screenshots folder in our pictures folder and we will find our cos graph, which we then just rename. And lastly, we will now complete our tan graph, and to do that we want a nice clean grid. We will go to Edit and we will undo our last construct object. This can also be done with the shortcut Ctrl-Z. Now we will be doing our tan graph. Go to Graph, we will plot a new function. Then the Functions drop down, we select tan, we select x, and we select OK. This will be our new tan graph. Then we will again press the Windows button and the print screen button at the same time. And as we can see in our screenshots folder, we now have our tan graph, which we may rename for clarity's sake. These could be helpful in answering the questions in the investigation.